Last video we talked about soil texture, which is really important, and I'm going to talk about soil nutrition. So all soils need 16 essential elements to give the optimal plant health. So the main three are nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. Those are the ones that tend to be the most deficient in soils all the way across the country. So those are also the ones that fertilizers tend to help the very most. So the number one most important one is nitrogen. If there's a deficiency in nitrogen, then you're going to see a lack of vitality in your plants. The number one indicator is you'll have kind of weak, yellowing plants. You'll have low yields from your vegetables. They tend to be small. So the best way to control the health and the size of your plants is through nitrogen. So how do you add nitrogen? The number one way is through organic matter. Another thing that you can do is you can plant legumes like peas, clover, alfalfa. Those are called cover crops, and they actually are plants that will put nitrogen into your soil. So that's another thing that you can do naturally to add a little bit of nitrogen into your soil. And then if you need a lot of nitrogen, if you really have a nitrogen deficiency, you'll want to use a fertilizer. The number one product for that is ammonium sulfate. That's 21% nitrogen, and that can give you the hit of nitrogen that you really need to help your soil. Often adding organic matter does not have a high enough nitrogen percentage to solve the serious nitrogen deficiency that might be in your soil. So when you're reading fertilizer labels, you'll want to look for the first number. That's going to indicate how much nitrogen is in that particular fertilizer. And the highest number that you're going to find is a 21, and then it goes down from there. So in addition to nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, three other main elements that you're going to find deficient in native soils are zinc, iron, and manganese. These three usually go hand in hand. The main indicator that your soil is deficient in these key elements is you'll have a condition in your plants called chlorosis. Chlorosis is when your leaves yellow and the veins stay dark green. That's how you know that you're going to need to add iron to your soil. The difficult thing about chlorosis is that it's really common in strawberries, for example, and it's best to lift the plants from the soil, work the iron and zinc into the soil, because if you try to add it to perennial plants, it's going to have a hard time getting into the soil. So you really need to add it before you plant. The best way to add these trace elements is with a product called ironite.